What does it take to be the greatest of all time?
Acknowledge me!
Ah, yes, I can remember it like it was 2012. It wasn't yesterday. Survivor Series 2012 in Indianapolis saw a villainized CM Punk defend the WWE Championship, which he had for a long time at this period, against John Cena and the rising Ryback. That's when things got a little crazy. Three relatively unknown men jumped the barrier in black long-sleeve shirts and asserted their sheer dominance over the situation, launching a brutal assault on Ryback and allowing Punk to squeeze out with the WWE Championship. The three men were identified as Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns, young wrestlers from the developmental territory system that WWE had, NXT. They left the ring through the crowd, leaving fans and commentators baffled by their identities and their motives. But these three men would change WWE for the next decade. It's Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm Kevin, and we need to know what you think of The Shield. Get into the comments below. WWE NXT wasn't exactly mainstream in 2012. Casual fans weren't that familiar with Rollins or Reigns or the other guy's Ambrose, right? So watching three young wrestlers beat the hell out of big name talents in the main event of a pay-per-view was a shocking move at the time. And I was in Indianapolis. I was in that crowd. People were like, who are these guys? But me and the other diehards all the way up in the cheap seats knew exactly who they were, and we knew big things were about to happen. Before we talk about The Shield as they would grow to become, let's shed some light on the individual players here. Seth Rollins, he became the first WWE NXT champion and was a big signing by the company when he was brought in. Before this, he was already a main eventer and world champion for Ring of Honor Wrestling and toured across the independent scene, being regarded as one of the best wrestlers in the world before he even got to WWE. He even reigned over the acclaimed AAW in the Midwest with other big names and other future WWE superstars. Dean Ambrose, known before WWE as John Moxley, and he would be known by that name again, had a specialty for violence. Pre-WWE, he was the poster boy for the bloody, gnarly scenes of Combat Zone Wrestling, CZW, an independent promotion known for its hardcore and extreme style of wrestling. He gained notoriety in CZW for his willingness to engage in pure brutality. This earned him a reputation as a rising star in the indie scene, and in 2011, while his talents also on the microphone built up as well, he signed a deal with the WWE. And from the get-go, he was seen as a top prospect within the company, and they booked him to feud with William Regal in FCW before it became WWE NXT. Roman Reigns, despite coming from the famous wrestling family of the Anawahis and having the pedigree, he didn't have a whole lot of pro wrestling experience when he signed with WWE in 2010. He had a successful stint in college football, even signed for the practice rosters of NFL's Minnesota Vikings and Jacksonville Jaguars, and went as an undrafted free agent in 2007. But he decided to follow in the footsteps of his family and get into the WWE, where he quickly impressed a lot of people in the early days of his NXT career. They were three distinctly different guys, but they all had one mission: destroy people and go to the top. 2012 WWE, though, was ripe for change. John Cena and Randy Orton took a little bit of a backseat to CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, who were gaining notoriety in their own right and putting on banger matches. And out comes The Shield. These three guys were all about that upheaval. They looked cool, they gained a more refined look with those tactical vests and gear, the entrance through the crowd, they were different than everything else, and they were attacking fan favorites on television before they even had a match. WWE pulled the trigger and went full force with The Shield, having the main event in their first official match at the TLC pay-per-view event against Team Hell No, Daniel Bryan and Kane, and Ryback. The match was full of chaos, and at the end, The Shield picked up the W, which solidified them as a force to be reckoned with in WWE. Is there any other faction that has come into WWE with this type of power and this type of presentation? The early effort put into the Shield worked. They were an instant hit. Despite being really different personalities, they clicked together as a unit, as like almost a rock band in wrestling. Dean Ambrose was the wild card with a chaotic disposition. Seth Rollins was the architect, calling all the plays and committing some really awesome high-flying maneuvers. And Roman Reigns was the powerhouse. They added depth to their characters. They had a defined sense of what they were going to do, and WWE got behind this dominance that was presented. Just 2 years earlier, WWE attempted something like this with the Nexus, another group of talents from the NXT camp, but they were never treated the same way. They were never given the same level of credibility as the Shield. They were also dubbed the Hounds of Justice, which really worked. What a great billing. They operated as a cohesive unit of almost mercenaries within the wrestling ranks, and they were loyal to themselves and relentless dogs when they were out to achieve a goal of attacking any type of opponent. They were involved in various storylines and rivalries over time. This gave them the opportunity to adapt, evolve, and remain relevant to the audience. Plus, they put on banger matches. Around this time, WWE was having some incredible tag team matches, and the Shield was a part of almost all of them. At WrestleMania 29, they defeated Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Big Show. Yeah, those are 3 Hall of Fame guys they took out in a rather one-sided match that proved that they were there to stay. This was not a fluke. The following night on Raw, they chose their next big victim, The Undertaker. The Hounds of Justice barked their way around the dead man, and he was saved by Kane and Daniel Bryan. However, this was followed up by probably the biggest match of the Shield's career up until that time, when they faced Taker and Team Hell No. Fans speculated that this might be the match where the Shield loses for the first time, but that didn't happen, as they beat Taker and Daniel Bryan and the Big Red Machine. And Undertaker wasn't happy about this, so he decided to face Dean Ambrose in a one-on-one match on SmackDown, which he won, but the Hounds of Justice gave him a brutal beating for that. Yeah, they weren't going to take that lightly, and triple powerbombed him through the announcer's table. When Taker's giving you the rub, you know you're bound for big things. From this point, there was no looking back. They won all of the gold at Extreme Rules 2013, with Ambrose becoming the United States champion, Rollins and Reigns capturing the tag team titles. Soon, they allied themselves with the Authority. Yes, Triple H was the boss of WWE on screen at the time, and he needed some henchmen. They helped the Authority's chosen golden boy, Randy Orton, retain his WWE Championship. And with this, they got involved with a feud with the Rhodes family. Triple H continuing to browbeat upon blessed families within wrestling ranks, like the Rhodes family. Yes, Cody Rhodes and Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, were speaking against the Authority, but the brothers resented it. They resented the way WWE was treating their talent, and well, they got fired for it. So the Shield were then sent in to defend the Authority's honor. Yes, and it was Rollins and Reigns, to be specific, who lost at the hands of the Rhodes brothers in a very, very memorable tag team match where they had to fight for their WWE careers at the Battleground pay-per-view. And American Dream Dusty Rhodes was at ringside. This is an all-time classic tag team match in WWE, maybe one of the best tag team matches of the past decade. And this is one of the first real big losses that the Shield suffered as a team. This didn't really hurt them for long, though, as they continued to be a very intriguing, hot new act in WWE. Before another trio of young, hungry men from WWE NXT joined the main roster ranks, the Wyatt family. Led by Bray Wyatt with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan at his side, they were, much like the Shield, a very disruptive force, but a completely different set of personalities, all under the spell of the Swamp Wizard himself, a cult-like leader that resembled a character from the Cape Fear movie. Fans desperately wanted to see this match, and on Raw in November of 2013, they had a physical altercation, and the crowd went berserk. However, it seemed like WWE had a different plan to make fans wait for the match. Instead, the Shield found themselves entangled in a program with the man they helped retain his WWE Championship in their debut, CM Punk. This was a different CM Punk, one who had the fans on his side and wasn't weaseling out of matches and was ready to take on any challenge. The best in the world was going to take on a big one. Yes, a 3-on-1 handicap match at the TLC pay-per-view. Just 1 year after making their dominating debut in 2012 at the same event, they lost to CM Punk. Yeah, they lost. This happened due to a miscommunication within the group as Reigns mistakenly speared Ambrose, and Punk capitalized on the situation and won the match. So this is where the cracks in the Shield started to develop. Yes, and fans started to think, were they going to implode sometime soon? But they actually stuck together and held strong. At Royal Rumble 2014, the night when the Hounds of Justice once again howled their way and asserted dominance, they kind of did this as all three members lasted until the final moments of the Rumble match. But during the match, Ambrose tried to eliminate Reigns. Yeah, and the big dog wasn't happy about that. Reigns ended up eliminating both Ambrose and Rollins, indicating that he doesn't need them. Oh yeah, those cracks were getting bigger. Reigns continued to shine in the Royal Rumble match on his own, getting the most eliminations up until that time. Yeah, maybe some big things were bound for him as a solo superstar in the future. WWE made it clear who they wanted to be the breakout star of the group in this certain moment. Following this, WWE finally gave us the match we all wanted, the long-awaited Shield versus Wyatt's face-off. The two groups already had issues, and it wasn't hard to book the storyline for the match. At Elimination Chamber, they had one of the best 6-man tag team matches in WWE history at the time, and the Hounds of Justice once again howled their way to a loss. Yeah, this wasn't good. These dogs are getting hungry here. Things really started to heat up within the group as mistrust started to develop. Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose were getting into each other's faces more often, but they managed to resolve their issues. Around this time, fans began cheering for them. Yes, they were so cool at being so bad, they became good. WWE had no choice but to turn them into badass baby faces, and in March of 2014, they attacked the Authority's corporate Kane? Yeah, that was the Kane who didn't wear all the Monster Kane stuff and just wore black pants. And at WrestleMania 30, they defeated Kane and the New Age Outlaws in just 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Once again, another Mania where they take out a bunch of Hall of Famers, indicating that they were back on track and their cracks were once again sealed up with unity. On the Raw after that year's Mania, it was probably the biggest night in the Shield's career as they interrupted Triple H's match against Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. Triple H was still the no good, not nice to the fans corporate authority figure, and it was clear that the Shield was no longer going to be his henchmen. No, they were no longer lackeys, and on this night they proved it as they attacked Hunter, Randy Orton, Batista, and Kane to save Bryan from losing the WWE title, which he'd won just the day before. It's safe to say that Hunter Hearst Helmsley was pissed. He wanted the Shield to face repercussions, and he began targeting them. The Hounds were even booked in an 11-on-3 handicap match. Yeah, the odds were against them, and they took a real beating in April of 2014. That wasn't enough for Triple H, though. He really needed to get rid of them, and he needed to bring back his own band of bad dudes, Evolution. That's right, as Shield were down and out, Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista once again reformed as a faction together for the first time in 9 years. This time to dismantle the Shield, the new big breakout group in WWE. Shield would take on Evolution at Extreme Rules 2014 and got a decisive victory over the veterans. This made Triple H even more pissed, and he used all of the possible tactics to destroy the Shield from within. Did we mention that Ambrose was still the US champion? Yes, he was. And Hunter made him defend his US title in a battle royal in May after holding the title for more than 300 days. Yeah, he lost it to Sheamus. The Shield was not going to take this lying down, and they faced Evolution once again in a no-holds-barred elimination match in Chicago at the Payback event. They fought all over the arena and won a clean sweep, with Rollins eliminating Batista, Ambrose getting rid of Orton, and Reigns beating Triple H. This was huge. 3 young wrestlers that were seen as the next big main eventers of the company, pinning 3 legends big time. Many fans felt that they should be pushed to the top level as solo superstars, not just as a faction, and this seemed to foreshadow that. The next night, on June 2nd, 2014, emotions were running high. The Shield once again had defeated Evolution for a second time. Batista said that he was done with them and wanted a WWE Championship match. Triple H did not comply with his request, so the Animal decided to quit WWE, and he legitimately walked out. During the time now, the main event of the show had to come together, and the Hounds of Justice came out and delivered a passionate promo on how they were the most dominant force in all of WWE. Reigns even claimed that the reason they won at Payback was because they are brothers. Yeah, brothers who stick together. However, Triple H wasn't having it. No, he was not going to give up. He came out along with Orton. As soon as Rollins saw them coming out, the tone changed. He brought in a couple of steel chairs to once again hold a fortified front, and Hunter once again started talking on the rampway, making his way towards the ring, saying the phrase, "In case you haven't figured it out yet, what I do better than anybody is adapt." And last night was plan A. Tonight, plan B. There's always a plan B. As soon as the game was done talking, the game had been played. Rollins did the unthinkable and betrayed Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, striking him in the back with a steel chair, sucking the air out of the arena. Ambrose looked in disbelief. He couldn't even process this happening. Multiple bone-shocking and soul-shattering chair shots were delivered to Reigns and Ambrose. He was now Triple H's boy. He was now with the Authority. Wow, just one night after they had an incredible match that truly lifted the trio to new heights, he had betrayed them. The crowd shouted, "You sold out" at Rollins as the show went off the air. This broke a lot of hearts as the Shield inspired a lot of newer fans. Would they accept this betrayal laying down? It came out of nowhere. Fans were speculating that Ambrose might be the one to turn on the group, as he was the hothead. He was the one you couldn't really predict. But Rollins, he was the architect. Rollins was the calm one who mostly kept the group together during hard times. The Shield was no more, as we remembered it for the time being. The next week on Raw, the entire representation of Rollins changed. He came out in a suit. Where was the tactical vest? And he claimed he was the one who created the Shield, and he was the one who destroyed it. Look what you did to us, Seth. He also said that Rollins and Ambrose are nothing without him and began calling himself the architect. We already knew you were the architect. I just called you that. And just like that, he was the biggest heel in the company. Creatively, he was one of the best choices to go with this in the long run. And the Shield itself truly raised all 3 players. In the Shield, Reigns was already seen as the next big guy in management, while Ambrose was a fan favorite who could cut very decisive promos that would reel you in. Seth was seen as the 3rd most popular guy in a group of 3 wrestlers, so it made a lot of sense to kind of like slingshot him above his brothers with betrayal. Yeah, the conniving mastermind persona suited him. Following the breakup, Roman was instantly pushed to the main event level of WWE and competed in an 8-man ladder match for the vacant WWE World Heavyweight Championship, while Rollins and Ambrose competed in the Money in the Bank ladder match. This was an indication of how much they wanted Reigns in WWE to be the guy. Rollins and Ambrose both changed their personalities and even got their own new entrance music. But there was Reigns, stuck with the Shield music, yeah, and the Shield vibe and the Shield outfit and just everything. It didn't make much sense to some fans. It felt like WWE was telling the fans that the Shield was alive and well and it was now just this one guy. Roman Reigns. After losing Money in the Bank, Reigns again unsuccessfully challenged for the championship in a fatal four-way match at Battleground. He then had the biggest W of his career at SummerSlam when he defeated Randy Orton in a one-on-one match. On the other hand, Rollins was the hunted man as Ambrose chased him everywhere. At Money in the Bank, Ambrose almost got the briefcase to cash in for an anywhere, anytime world title shot, but with the help of the Authority, Rollins managed to capture the briefcase, becoming Mr. Money in the Bank. Yeah, fans didn't love that. He even tried to cash in on John Cena on Raw, but Ambrose wouldn't let him do that. Now being dubbed the Lunatic Fringe, he attacked him on many occasions. It was absolute chaos, and it made these two guys, who obviously had a personal issue, into very much a part of the presentation for WWE, and they faced each other at SummerSlam. Each time, Rollins came out on top with some screwy finish. Ambrose was slowly emerging as a top babyface that fans could get behind for his very wild determination to fight and his edginess that was just always there, reminding them of a certain Texas rattlesnake. Oh, hell yeah. Rollins tried to stop Dean by delivering a curb stomp on cinder blocks on Monday Night Raw, putting him out of action for weeks. This gave Ambrose even more sympathy from the fans, and now Reigns turned his attention to Rollins, yes, and decided to fight him at Night of Champions. However, he couldn't be at the show because of an unfortunate injury. However, Seth had other plans on Night of Champions as he again tried to cash in his Money in the Bank contract by interfering in John Cena and Brock Lesnar's match. Cena was coming out of SummerSlam with the biggest loss of his career against Brock, who completely embarrassed him and wrecked him and won the WWE World Championship. So the rematch at Night of Champions was an important one for the franchise player in one Jonathan Cena. But Rollins made a big mistake by attacking Cena during the match, ending it in a DQ. The Architect wanted to win the title for himself. Cena was pissed, and it did not allow Rollins to cash in, and he ran off. For the next few weeks, Cena was anticipating a confrontation with Rollins, but there was another man who had his own motivations to get a hold of the greasy-haired Architect. Dean Ambrose. Yeah, the Lunatic Fringe returned and he wanted revenge. He even had fights with Cena to have the match with Rollins, and WWE booked Ambrose versus Cena in a contract on a pole match, where the winner earned a chance to face Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. Ambrose was victorious. This earned him a date with the former brother in the Shield, now the man who betrayed him, and they had the Devil's favorite cage to fight in. At Hell in a Cell, they had a chaotic match, and everyone thought this would be the night when Dean would finally beat Rollins. But no. Bray Wyatt, yes, that spooky swamp wizard once again, emerged from the depths and the darkness to attack Ambrose, allowing Rollins to pick up the win, starting a feud that would be separate for the Lunatic Fringe. Oh, we almost didn't mention that Rollins was, really flying off the handle at this point. He attacked his own Authority faction member, Randall Orton, a week prior to Hell in a Cell. Yes, and Orton wasn't happy about it. He confronted the Architect about that, but Triple H ordered Rollins to finish him. Yeah, With the help of other Authority members, Rollins exterminated the Snake Man Randy Orton from the group, becoming the true golden boy of the faction himself. After this, he turned his attention leading the team of the Authority against Team Cena at Survivor Series. And this was the night when the man known as Sting made his long-awaited WWE debut, screwing Rollins and the Authority out of the big Survivor Series elimination tag team win. Meanwhile, things for Ambrose, on the other hand, weren't going all that well. He lost almost all of his matches against Bray, including a tables, ladders, and chairs match at TLC, and he kept entertaining fans with his unpredictable attitude. His foe, though, Rollins, was a marked man once again. Everyone wanted to beat the hell out of him, including John Cena, who had been waiting to get his hands on him since Night of Champions. They had a tables match at TLC, and that's when a ghost from Rollins' past came back and haunted him. Roman Reigns, after being on the shelf for a few months, returned to help one Jonathan Cena win against Seth Rollins. With their very personal feud rekindled, fans, though, were not feeling it. They weren't feeling Roman Reigns once again just doing the Shield, vest, music thing. Come on, at least the other guys figured out their own style when they broke from the group. And also, at the time, his promo skills weren't really hitting it out of the park. One particular promo had Roman Reigns saying the phrase, and we're quoting here, "Suffering succotash."
Sell out full of suffering succotash, son.
Yeah, that one has been replayed for years, somewhere in a Botchamania video, right? Despite the fans being vocal, they did not want to see the big dog Roman Reigns as the top guy. No, they didn't want to see him as the top dog. He could be a dog person, whatever. WWE fans, they just weren't feeling it, but WWE kept pushing it. And then the night came, the night that made Roman Reigns the most hated man in pro wrestling. Royal Rumble 2015. Now, don't get us wrong, Roman Reigns had his own fans, people that loved him in the Shield. Some of those fans were sticking with him, but a majority of fans didn't think that he was, the guy to win the Rumble and get that, golden ticket to WrestleMania. A lot of fans wanted Daniel Bryan to get that win. WrestleMania was happening, and he was robbed of a victory that year and was eliminated just minutes after entering the ring. The crowd went silent. It was like life had been sucked out of the building. People could not believe what just happened. They knew that their fan favorite, their chosen guy, wasn't going to be the guy. And everyone kind of knew who was going to win the match after Bryan's departure. And that's when he came out. And by he, we mean Roman Reigns. He received loud boos in Philadelphia. Yeah, so eventually Reigns won, and the ending moment with The Rock, his cousin, holding his hand up as an endorsement, that didn't work. You could see it on The Rock's face. His eyebrow was raised for the wrong reason. The crowd was booing Roman Reigns. They rejected this idea of the big dog. Yeah, they weren't feeling it. Rollins, on the other hand, was a part of one of the best triple threat matches in WWE history against John Cena and Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Championship. He did not win, but he still had the briefcase in hand. And following the Royal Rumble, Dean Ambrose was relegated to mid-card status as he started hunting down Bad News Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship. Reigns, who had won the Rumble match, set his sights on the champion for Mania, Brock Lesnar. But before that, he earned his shot by beating fan favorite Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. Yeah, WWE really wanted you to know that Roman Reigns was a guy. And there was Rollins getting chased by Randy Orton. The Viper returned to get his retribution on Seth, which he did at WrestleMania 31, delivering an incredible RKO on the Architect. Yeah, that one where he leapt up into the air and caught him like 8 feet down? It was awesome. Dean unsuccessfully challenged for the IC Championship in a ladder match, and in the main event, Roman Reigns faced Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Championship. The crowd, once again, was not feeling Reigns getting the win here. Fans strongly revolted the idea, just like the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns was booed out of the stadium. However, they were still speculating if the big dog had a big enough bite to dethrone Lesnar. And Lesnar laid in a beating on him. But during the match, Rollins came out, and when both Reigns and Lesnar were out cold, the crowd erupted. They knew exactly what was going to happen. The heist of the century, as it was called, saw Rollins cash in his Money in the Bank contract during the main event of WrestleMania. Michael Cole called it that, and we're still calling it that. It was truly one of the greatest Money in the Bank cash-ins of all time. Despite losing his match to Randy Orton earlier in the night, Rollins walked out of WrestleMania as the WWE World Champion. Fans were at least happy that something shocking like that happened, and the boo birds that were still booing Roman Reigns were just maybe happy to see him not win the title. The Shield, they are for sure one of the most important trios in the history of pro wrestling. We'll have more on them and their influence on modern pro wrestling in the future. For more videos just like this, subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling.